John chapter 2, verse 1 to 2. And on the third day, there was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Okay. Jesus also was invited to the wedding with his disciples. The first character introduced in this story is the mother of Jesus. She even precedes Jesus. The singling out of this character hints that she may have an important role to play in the narrative that follows. We'll have to find out. Now, what she says in this story is crucial to it. She's accompanied at the celebration by her son and his disciples. The scene has been set as a group of people headed by the mother of Jesus as gathered, eklethe, for the celebration of a wedding on the third day. Again, the third day is the day Israel associates with the manifestation of God and the giving of the law in his glory. The location of Cana is not known for certain. It is probably the small village of Cana, about 9 miles north of Nazareth. We don't know, though. Since it was the home of Nathanael, that may account for the presence of Jesus, his mother, his brothers, and the disciples. An invitation to a wedding implies at least a neighborly relationship and results, therefore, in social obligation in return. John chapter 2, verses 2 to 3. Jesus also was invited to the wedding with his disciples. When the wine failed, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." Jesus' mother is not named in the fourth gospel, folks. Never. But instead is given the customary honorific title, the Mother of Jesus, the respectful way of referring to a woman who has borne a son in this society. For a woman from this culture, the birth of a son defines her as a complete adult person. In the gender-divided societies of the Mediterranean world, a house is normally considered private space. As such, it is the domain of women. But on certain occasions, such as funerals and weddings, however, this private space could become public and thus allow for at least some mixing of the sexes. Some parts of a wedding celebration still took place in gender-divided space where men celebrate separately from women. But other parts were open to all for the duration of the wedding. It's a different world, folks. It's a different world. You go into reading the Bible with your American assumptions, and my American assumption is going to cause problems.
The way they were dressed, would you consider the elite?
No. They would, the way they're dressed, actually, they in their dress, and this is true with Palestinians today. You go to Palestinians wearing traditional dress and traditional garb, it tells you their social status in the village. That would have been true in the first century as well. The way they make up makes also, and henna and so forth, and the different things also communicate socially. I'm sorry?
The picture we just saw.
Yeah.
The other one. Okay, they look well dressed.
Yeah, because it's a wedding.
But if they're peasants, how could they afford it?
Oh, because the whole village gets together. You still put on a good show. You still put on a good show. Those aren't necessarily peasants there, though, but yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. John chapter 2, verses 3 to 5. They wouldn't necessarily call them elites, though, either. When the wine failed, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Oh, woman, what have you to do with me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now, according to the Talmuds, which are written much later, there is no rejoicing save with wine. You have to have wine for, that's very Mediterranean. That's very Mediterranean. The fact that the family hosting the wedding has run out of wine threatens a serious loss of honor. This is an honor-shame dominated society. Friends, especially those from the inner group of wedding celebrants, usually sent gifts ahead of time, such as wine, to be available for the wedding celebration. Therefore, lack of wine means lack of friends. If Jesus was among the members of the wedding association, in Hebrew, shushpanim, if he's a member of the shushpanim of this bridegroom, he was among those obligated to provide such gifts. It is not surprising that Jesus' mother knows that the wine is short, because she, along with most of the other women, would have been involved in the food preparation for the celebration. Working discreetly behind the scenes, as Jesus' mother does, would avoid social humiliation for the family. If the unnamed mother of Jesus is a kinswoman of the groom, as some traditions hold, she would view the matter with some urgency, since the shame would also fall on both Jesus and herself. Even if not a family member, the unnamed mother of Jesus is acting like a loyal friend. In relaying the concern about wine to Jesus, his mother plays the role of broker on behalf of the bridegroom and his family. Think The Godfather, folks. That's Mediterranean. The implied request to Jesus, which may have come from a discreet member of the family, would be a challenge to his honor if his mother's request had come in public. By informing Jesus about the shortage of wine, his mother appears to be asking him to play the role of a wedding associate in providing for the host family being threatened by social humiliation. The unnamed mother of Jesus draws attention to the fact that the narrator has already commented on. There was no wine. The mother is the first character introduced, and she initiates action with her statement. She is met by a sharp, twofold response from Jesus. Ti emoi kai soi gunai. Gunai is where you get in Greek the word gynecology from. Gunai, gune, woman. Oh woman, what have you to do with me? Oof. Exaggerated Marian piety has tried to soften this retort. But in media stat virtus, ladies and gentlemen, in the middle is virtue. Between the extremes of Mariocentrism or Marian maximalism, Mary, and Mariophobia, Marian minimalism. Oh, Mary's nothing. Any woman. God could have used a cow. In the middle is virtue. Okay? Between these two extremes, a balanced approach to this story accepts that some harshness cannot be removed. Whatever one makes of it, it is not the sort of response a Western person would expect from a son to his mother. The expression is abrupt and draws a sharp line between Jesus and his mother, the Johannine Jesus and his mother. The address Jesus uses here in this rebuke, woman, gunai, sounds harsh to modern ears. But he uses it again in chapter 19, verse 26 at the cross, and that context makes it very clear that it is not really harsh. It may be sharp in the wedding at Cana, but it's not harsh. John 19:26, when Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved, he said to his mother, "Woman, behold your son." Look at your son. Gunai, woman, may have been characteristic of the pre-Paschal Jesus, something he used. The Johannine Jesus' initial question and his words concerning the hour indicate that there is a distance between himself and his unnamed mother, and that the law by which he works is imposed on him by another, the God of Israel. In other words, a world exists between the Johannine Jesus and God. And the mother of Jesus is outside that world. The words of Jesus in John chapter 2, verse 4, firmly inform his mother that such is the case. It is a gentle rebuke that keeps her in her place. The bond between mother and son is the closest interpersonal relation known in the Middle East. More so than any, except maybe rivaling his sister and brother. It's generally much closer than that of husband and wife. Husbands and wives are not self-selecting in the Middle East, they are arranged. Hence, the mother of Jesus is able to presume upon Jesus to act as patron on behalf of this family. That's why she goes right out and do whatever he tells you. She expects, even with the rebuke, her son to fulfill. And he does. In this gospel, the Johannine Jesus takes the initiative to help those who he believes need his help. This is very different than the Jesus found in Mark, the Jesus found in Matthew, and the Jesus found in Luke. The Jesus in the synoptics, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, normally does nothing unless he is asked to do so. That's very different than the Johannine Jesus. The Johannine Jesus is rarely approached by others for help. In John. Yet in those few instances when people do in fact make requests of him, as here in the wedding at Cana, the Johannine Jesus response is always one of delaying reluctance, followed by compliance, and then a return to ongoing conflicts with the Judeans. And we find this pattern, and I'm going to show it to you in a moment. It is interesting to note that all of these requests come from natural in-group persons whose in-group status derives from birth and natural position. In the case of the wedding at Cana, mother, natural in-group person. In the case of the royal official at Capernaum, where he's staying, a townmaid. In the case, which is a natural in-group person. In the case of the brothers, are you going to go to the feast in Jerusalem? That's his brothers, natural in-group persons. And in the case of Lazarus, Mary, and Martha of Bethany, those are best friends, in-group persons. Now, in straight Mediterranean society, he would be obligated to respond immediately. But this is John, so all bets are off. This is an anti-society we're talking about here. It's only after a display of reluctance that the Johannine Jesus eventually complies with the requests and immediately afterward engages Judeans in further conflict. Again, in straight Mediterranean society, if this was a document from straight Mediterranean society, like all the other Jesus group documents in the New Testament, as opposed to anti-society like John's community was, these in-group persons, mother, townmate, brothers, and best friends, all deserve and receive immediate compliance. These in-group persons define one's collective self, remember? They are your alter egos, because in the Mediterranean world, collectivistic dyadic personalities are group-centered personalities. You are your group self. So you owe your group. Think about if you're Italian or Spanish or Portuguese. It absolutely applies. But this is John, folks, and that's anti-society. Your natural in-group persons like your brothers are not necessarily your brothers. They may have rejected you, and you may have rejected them. Anti-society. Perhaps John is using this pattern to inform members of his Jesus group and anti-society about how to deal with their natural relatives and other natural in-group persons. So let's look at the pattern. First, there's a request. When the wine failed, the mother of Jesus said, "They have no wine." At Capernaum, there was an official whose son was ill. He went and begged him to come down, heal his son. His brothers said to him, leave here, go to Judea, so that others may see the works you're doing. Now a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany. So the sisters sent to him, saying, Lord, he whom you love is ill. See, there's a request in all these stories. The pattern goes like this. That's followed by Jesus' stalling reluctance. Jesus said, oh, woman, what does this have to do with you and me? My hour's not yet come. Jesus therefore said to him, unless you see signs and wonders, you will not believe. Jesus said to them, my time is not yet come. Your time is always here. Go to the feast yourselves. I'm not going. He lies to them. In our standards, because later he goes. But then Jesus heard it and said, this illness is not unto death. And so when he heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer. Oh, that's real nice, Jesus. I don't need to go. Don't worry about it. That's not ill. He's going to die, dude. He's going quick. See? Stalling reluctance. Then the pattern continues with compliance. Jesus said to them, fill the jars with water. Jesus said to them, go, your son will live. But after the brothers had gone, he decided in private to go. After this, he said to his disciples, okay, let's go to Judea. Let's go deal with Lazarus. And then finally, it continues with an ongoing conflict with the Judeans. As soon as the wedding at Cana finishes, Jesus goes and has a big mess in the temple with the Judean authorities. After he heals the official's son and heals another person, suddenly they all want to kill him because he's doing these things on the Sabbath. The Judeans were looking for him at the feast, right? After he goes to the feast, I'm not going to the feast. Then he goes. Then they're all like trying to kill him, okay, at the feast. Then after he heals Lazarus, the disciples said to him, hey, Rabbi, the Judeans are just about to kill you. You know, before he goes to heal Lazarus. Why are you going? Is it a suicide mission? So again, around these signs are wrapped these tremendous conflicts he has with the Judean authorities. So here's the pattern, folks. 1, request. 2, Jesus stalling reluctance. 3, compliance. And 4, conflict with the Judeans. You understand this pattern is not found in the Synoptic Gospels. Jesus in Mark, Matthew, and Luke is very different than Jesus is in John. This is only found in John. This pattern. Again and again.
In what context do they say brothers of Jesus?
A great question. We're going to talk a little bit about that more in the Marian formation meetings that we're having. 8 of these this year. We talk about that, Rose. As Catholic Christians, we cannot believe that they are children of Mary, that they are blood siblings of Jesus through Mary. We do not have to accept Jerome's theory, however, that they're cousins. We could accept that Joseph had earlier children from a previous marriage before he married Mary.
Well, why would it be impossible for Mary to have other children besides Jesus?
Is it impossible?
I mean, the way
according to Catholic Church teaching and our understanding, we cannot accept Helvidius's view because we accept the perpetual virginity of Mary, which we have interpreted for a long time as physical virginity also. And therefore we can't accept that.
Why the story reluctance?
Must be some theological significance. That keep that in. Put the pin on that, because that's where there's a theological purpose to reveal the glory of God, to reveal Jesus as Messiah. Yes, Joe.
Yeah, just 2 things fast. Why are we against that she couldn't have more children?
Okay, I can't go in there right now. It'll take us right off the road, off the train. But I love the question. I want to get into it. Yeah.
Good. And let's go back then. The wedding at Cana, was that the first miracle Jesus ever did?
First sign, according to John.
But he did do miracles before that, right? Every day, right?
Does he say that?
Well, why would Mary say, turn the water into wine? That's no little thing.
Okay, we're going to get to that. We'll keep going. John chapter 2, verse 5. His mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. If the reply of Jesus to his mother is surprising, equally surprising is her reaction to it. Faced by rebuke, and from her position outside the inner world of the relationship between Jesus, the Johannine Jesus, and the Father, she tells the servants, Hoti anlege humin poi esete. Do whatever he tells you. However much the Marian traditions have influenced historical interpretations of this scene, nothing in the narrative can explain how she can turn away from the rebuke of her son, correctly indicating that she has no knowledge or understanding of God's design for his son. Don't mix in details from Luke or Matthew into this, folks. Did John write this thinking, I've already read Matthew, I've already read Luke? No, he didn't know Matthew and Luke. Yet she tells the servants in a carefully worded command that they should put into action anything that he tells them to do. Meaning, if he tells them, serve them water, then they're to do it. Don't assume that she has knowledge that he's going to suspend physical laws of the universe or do anything like that. That's not what's implied here. She has unconditional trust in the efficacy of his words. That doesn't mean she understands fully his divine origins.
Then why would she assume, from what we have taught, it would seem that she had knowledge when she said...
Yeah, because you're assuming it. And you know what they say about assuming? It makes an ass out of you or me. Don't assume. See, there's 2,000 years of theological and devotional freight and popular Christian imaginational freight on this story. I'm giving you the story as best I can without that theological, devotional, and imaginational freight put on it. This is how it was.
So but right now, if that's what you're saying, that it would be normal for somebody to say, listen, he's going to turn them...
Maybe he goes and buys wine. Maybe he goes and gets wine with his disciple buddies.
What, he was a millionaire, he had a lot of money?
No. Mediterranean males get the job done, folks.
Oh,
they get the job done.
That's another miracle.
Miracle. Miracle's a nice post-enlightenment word. Miracle. Wonders. Marvels. Something definitely extraordinary and beyond human capability, but not violation of laws, physical laws of the universe. Are these people scientific? Do they have an understanding that the universe is governed by physical laws? Okay, so then none of the stories about marvels that happen in the Bible are violations of physical laws of the universe then, right? Because they don't have that conceptualization. From their point of view. If something happens, it happens. And they believe it. If a human couldn't do it, a non-human had to do it. A non-human person. Somebody from Sky Vault. One of the gods or God of Israel. Okay. The prologue, John chapter 1, verses 1 to 18, which is everything the author wants to tell us, announces Jesus as the Logos, the Word of God. But this new character, the mother of Jesus, does not know this. She's not part of the world of John chapter 1, verses 1 to 18, folks. I'm sorry, she's not. Being a little bit of a jerk here. Yet with unconditional trust in the efficacy of his word, hoti an lege, lege like logos, word, she issues instructions to the servants. The mother of Jesus is the first person in the narrative of the fourth gospel we call John to show at the level of action in the story that the correct response to the presence of Jesus is trust in his word. She is the perfect exemplar of Johannine faith. She is the perfect exemplar of Johannine faith. Not because she has all this understanding, Mother Angelica, about Jesus. What? But because she unconditionally trusts in the efficacy of his word. The brief appearance of the mother of Jesus at the beginning of the marvel story acts as a trigger, initiating a series of events that lead to the marvel. John chapter 2, verses 8 to 10. And he said to them, now draw some out, take it to the steward of the feast. So they took it. When the steward of the feast tasted the water now become wine and did not know where it came from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew, the steward of the feast called the bridegroom and said to him, every man serves the good wine first, and when all are drunk freely, then the cheap crap comes out. But you have kept the good wine until now. Yes?
Is that a faux pas?
What I said?
To have done that? To have, that the lousy wine was first and then the good stuff came later. Is that a faux pas? It's like
a faux pas that brought great honor to the bridegroom, because you are superior to all the people who have thrown weddings. That steward of the feast is praising publicly. He's becoming, remember, these are collective personalities. So when one person speaks, like Peter, he's speaking on behalf of the whole 12. He's the spokesperson for the 12. When in the case of this man, the steward of the feast, he speaks on behalf of everybody there. So this is giving great honor to the bridegroom. And that's what really is what Jesus has done. He is a Mediterranean male. He has provided great honor, which is the most important and the only thing in the Middle East. Honor. To the, in a way it is. It's a mistake, but it's a great mistake. It's the right mistake to do. You serve the cheap stuff, and then you serve the top shelf. Jesus brought the top shelf, folks, which means the bridegroom has a great friend, a great patron in Jesus. A patron who's really a broker. He can broker alternate reality, God, and that's what he does as a holy man. The response of the mother of, does that answer? Cool. The response of the mother of Jesus is the catalyst for the manifestation of the doxa, the honor, the glory of Jesus, and the faith of the disciples. John chapter 2, verse 11. This, the first of the signs, his signs, Jesus did at Cana in Galilee and manifested his doxa, and his disciples believed into him. John chapter 2, verse 6. Now 6 stone jars were standing there for the Judean rites of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. Stone water jars were preferable for holding water for purification, since clay pots had to be destroyed if they were contaminated by contact with the carcasses of an unclean animal, like lizards, geckos, and stuff. Leviticus 11:33, should any of these creatures fall into a clay vessel, everything in it becomes unclean, and the vessel itself you must break. Most village families would have no more than one such jar, which held about 20 gallons. Hence, the presence of 6 stone jars may indicate that others may have borrowed them from neighbors for this occasion. Let's talk a little bit before we go to the break on purity and pollution and purification rites. Folks, all enduring human societies provide their members with ways of making sense out of human life. Right? Ours is no different. Such ways of making sense out of life are called systems of meaning. When something is out of place as determined by the prevailing system of meaning, that something is considered by the society and its members wrong, deviant, and senseless. Dirt is matter out of place. Don't think hygiene. Don't think post-cholera epidemic in post-Napoleonic England, okay, times, Victorian England, where we start, stiff upper lip, cleanliness is next to godliness, wash more because we want to get healthy. Don't think it like that. Think dirt as matter out of place. It's in its wrong place. When people clean their houses or clean their cars, what they're doing is rearranging matter. They're returning matter to its proper place. It's not dirty. Dirt is not dirty outside. Right? The point is, the perception of dirt and behavior called cleaning, given us by our society's conditioning, both point to the existence of some social system according to which there is a proper place for everything. This system of place is one indication of the existence of a larger system of making sense out of human life. One traditional way of talking about such an overall system of meaning is in terms of a purity system. A system of pure and impure. A system of clean and unclean. Pure, which means in place. Impure, which means out of place or out of bounds. Clean, which means in place. Unclean, which means out of place. Pure and impure, clean and unclean can be predicated of persons, groups, things, times, and places. Sheep and goats are not, one is honorable, one is not honorable, but both are clean. They're in proper place. You can eat them if you're Israelite. Pig and lobster, you can't. They're unclean. They're out of place. Such purity distinctions embody the core values of a society and thereby provide clarity of meaning, distinction of activity, and consistency of social behavior. What accords with these values and their structural expression in a purity system is considered pure, and what does not is viewed as polluted. Hence, pollution, like dirt, refers to what qualifies something or someone as out of place, what does not belong. Purity systems thus provide maps designating social definitions or bounded categories in which everything and everybody either fits and is considered clean or does not fit and is regarded as defiled. As such, these socially contrived maps provide boundaries that fit over individuals, over groups, over the environment, over time, and over space. If your society suffers racism like ours, this affects whole groups of people, doesn't it? And white folk don't even see that they have this. This is called privilege. Pain blinds people, but privilege blinds people worse. Pain blinds you so much that you think that the solution is vengeance when it should be justice. And you can't tell. Right, that blinds. But much worse is what privilege does. Because privilege prevents you from even seeing that there's a frickin' problem. Black lives matter. All lives matter! So you got to react that quick. A day ago, you didn't say all lives matter. You only say all lives matter when somebody says, hey, I'm under a frickin' 9 million tons of injustice, and my life matters. All lives matter! Suddenly you come out. That's privilege. See how that goes? These boundaries are known to everyone enculturated in the society so that one knows when one's behavior is out of bounds. So let's summarize. Cleaning or purification refers to the process of returning matter or persons to its proper place. Pollution is a way of speaking of something or someone out of place. Purity systems provide maps designating social space and time